I am here with my guest Audrey Callahan tonight, and I'm so excited to be talking to her. We've been connected through social media for a long time, but we actually met in 2012 when I was starting my business, and she and her husband built my website at the time, and so that's how we met. But let me tell you a little bit more about Audrey. She is an incredible singer songwriter. She lives here in Southern California. Her music and lyrics, she creates, it's very meaningful music. It's meant to inspire, and it's meant to inspire people to, or others to achieve, their own level of personal greatness. Her lyrics are pop infused, they're thought provoking, motivational. And you've also had a very successful career as a session vocalist. Your voice is in video games, theme parks, popular clubs, and your voice is in movies as well. And you have a really big one that has just come out, and I totally want to talk about that. You are a featured vocalist in the movie The Aerialist. So that sounds like a really good place to start. If you want to tell me what is
I
this?
know, right? So
Right?
random. Once upon a time, a long time ago, I was actually in a cover band as well for a long time, maybe 4 or 5 years. And and although I loved it and it's a lot of fun, I just wanted something different, like a different route in the music scene. And so I was Googling around and I saw this world of session singing. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't have to get dressed up and like go sing in clubs till like 2 in the morning and like I can just sing from home.
Right?
What is this magic? And so I
What
started
is the
diving into
sorcery?
that. Yeah, I started diving into that world. And I started out with little projects, personal projects from people who were creating an album, songwriters who don't sing, but they want to get their music out there. So they hire vocalists. So I swear I have like 5 albums out there with my voice on it, but they're not mine.
Right.
So things like that. And then little by little things started happening. Like I got hired to do a theme park in Germany. It's like a Disneyland type thing, and they have a parade that goes by every afternoon, and my voice is the parade song, and just a bunch of fun stuff. So it started getting bigger and better and cooler, and then that's when the movie came along, and the person reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're creating this movie. Do you want to be a part of it?" And I get hit up a lot with people promising big things, and so I
Sure.
never really know what's what. Sometimes I'll get promised big things and never hear from them. I get paid no matter what, but I never see the project come to fruition. So I was like, okay, like, yeah, sounds cool, but like, I didn't know. So I just approached it like I do everything else. Let me just sing these songs and it'll be awesome. And then when they showed me the first cut of the movie, I was like, wait a minute, this is like a real movie. And they're like, I told you. And it just looks so good. And Pink is involved, not in the movie, but it's her choreographer. I don't know if anyone here remembers Pink's big Grammy performance where she did an aerial performance in the air in
Totally remember
2010
that.
or something. So the
Yeah.
woman who choreographed that created this movie, and she's in the movie. And it was just this really beautiful big production. And it started out, I was actually hired as a backing vocalist for the film. They already had a singer hired, and something happened, and the producer was like, let's just have you record one of the lead songs just in case so he could pitch it to everybody else. And then lo and behold, one thing comes to another, and that singer was out, I was in, and I sang the all 9 songs in the movie. Like
Nine
every
songs.
few minutes, I swear, you hear just little things, like when the movie starts and the actress is in the cab ride and she asks them to turn on the radio, then that's me singing when it comes on. And she's like, oh, that's Aurora. And I play Aurora's voice. And so just little things like that. When it's a show about a pop star, an aging pop star who's going on tour one last time, and she gets the whole family of aerialists together, and so they're rehearsing a lot, and so my voice is playing in the rehearsals and like just all that kind of stuff. Just so fun, and it just got me so excited about that world because on the personal music side, there's this whole thing that you have to battle with as an aging woman in the industry, and looks, and there's all these judgments and this and that, and it's just an inner dialogue that you work through. But on that side of things, it's just vocals. Like you get to just focus on the singing side of things. So I just thought that
Wow.
was kind of cool. That I
That
don't
is
know.
so cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Nine
Thank you.
songs.
I
That's so
know.
incredible.
Yeah.
And the movie is already out now?
Yes, it premiered last week. What day is it today? Oh, last Friday it premiered on Amazon Prime, and
Okay.
also Lamel, I don't know how to pronounce it, theaters. We get more of it's better for our ratings and things if people watch on the one, but it's if they can't afford it, you can watch on Amazon Prime. But we can list all the things and people can pick. But
Yeah.
yeah, Amazon Prime.
So cool. Well, we're totally going
Yeah.
to watch that this week. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
and Pink even shouted it out. They did a live chat with the producer in Pink, and they were talking about aerial performance and all that. And Pink said that she was going to watch the film and encourage everybody else to do it. And it's just kind of surreal knowing that Pink's going to hear my voice. Like, I wonder what
Yeah.
she thinks, you know?
She's
But
probably sitting in her living room tonight, kicked
yeah,
back with the family, hearing you and going,
totally.
who is this amazing vocalist in this?
Exactly. Yeah,
Now
so
she's going to
pretty
reach
cool.
out to you and she's
Oh,
going to be like,
totally.
hey, are you busy?
Yeah, I'm going to open for her. We're going to go on tour. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, but just fun moments. It gets me excited to do even more things.
That's so cool. Well, it's so well deserved. You have really set up intentionally an amazing career for yourself and built it on your terms. And in recent years, you and your husband went on the road to travel and you were able to continue doing exactly what you were doing because you set up your career
Yeah.
customized to you and you've put in the hard work and you're a very gifted in media and I'm sure
Yeah.
that you know that has helped you a ton. So what you said that you did work in a cover band. What really kind of made you decide to go more remote with this?
I've always loved travel. I grew up in the military. Well, not me, but my family was in the military. And so we moved a lot. Every 2 to 4 years, I lived in Egypt, spent summers in Peru, just all over the place. And then when I met my husband, he was the same military brat. And once we got together, then we moved all over the place. And it was really annoying packing up our entire house and getting a U-Haul and all that stuff. So that's kind of where the RV life came into play. And we had our web business for a long time and we got really used to the idea of being virtual. And so the only thing really tying me down was, being in a cover band and having to be tied to those gigs. But that wasn't really the force that took me out of cover work. I think everybody has their own lane in the music industry. So I just wanted to try something different. I wanted to work on my own original stuff. And I just really like the idea of the creation process, like being in the studio and getting to do session vocals and just focus on that. Was very exciting. So it just all made sense to switch it over to virtual so that way we could travel and I wouldn't have to be tied to a schedule. Because I know some people do the travel thing and they do gigs on the road along the way. But I really loved that I didn't have anywhere to be. If, we went to Sedona, for example, and we had planned to be there for a week and we ended up falling in love with it. So we stayed for like 2 months. And
Wow.
so we could just yeah, we can just kind of pick and choose how long we want to stay somewhere. I wasn't tied to anything. I just really love the freedom of the virtual lifestyle. So that's
Yeah.
kind of why I made the switch,
That's awesome.
partially.
And you've been so successful with it too. I, of course, did my research and I saw that you have over 3,000 followers on Facebook. You have over 4,000 followers on YouTube and over 7,000 followers on Instagram. And you have self produced some really amazing videos and your recorded stuff is great. I'm sure some of it's been done in recording
Yeah.
studios, but has some of it also been done from in
Yeah.
your home studio?
Yeah, so my EP was all done in a studio. It's
Mhm.
5 songs that was done at the OC Hit Factory. And I'm actually back as of this week. I spent 3 days there again recording my next round of songs. We're going to do some Christmas tunes and some originals. So those are all done in the studio, but everything else, in addition to the session work, I wanted to create other avenues of income. It's just important to just have the many different streams in case one is slower than the other. So I
Yeah.
started focusing on YouTube and Patreon. And so, in order to make my Patreon nice and full and pretty and give people value, then that's what the music videos on YouTube are all about. And I couldn't afford to pay someone to do all that. So I just bought a camera and a drone and I just record my songs at home, piece the videos together. When I was on the road, I would make travel videos. So every location we went, I would film the whole thing. I would sing a song about it and put it together and release travel music videos. And yeah, it just, in this day and age, being self-taught is kind of a necessity, because the the music career path is just so expensive. It all adds up if you're paying for the studio time and the video editing and all that stuff. And yeah, it's not like MTV quality maybe, if they even play music videos anymore, but it's good enough, you know, to get
Yeah.
by. I feel like so many people on YouTube are doing it that it's kind of expected,
Yeah.
you know, to have that kind of quality. So yeah, I would encourage anyone else listening. It seemed a daunting task before, and I paid for my first music video, and it was cheap at $600, you know, and I just was like,
Wow.
I can't afford to keep doing that, so I just need to learn, and so I did.
Mhm.
So yeah, if I can do it, anybody
Yeah, that's
can.
amazing. I know that that's been really a big topic that I've been talking to other singers about, with, being in quarantine and everything. I hear a similar story of, I've always wanted to put my home singing studio together. I just, haven't taken the time to do it, or I have equipment, but I don't really know what I'm doing with it.
Yeah,
So that, that's a big thing. And I think that's one of the areas we've been very fortunate in to have this time, is that we can focus on that, and really
yeah,
kind of get ourselves up to speed with that. Um, and I mean, that was my story too. I have
yeah.
literally had all the equipment you need to record at home, but I just, maybe because it
It's
wasn't in a
scary.
city, I just
Yeah,
didn't, approach it. But once I did, I was so like pleasantly surprised with just how easy it was, and really fun, to figure out how to
yeah.
dial everything in. But um, tell me about your setup. What kind of equipment are you using, and what do you like?
Yeah, my setup I feel like is maybe more basic than others. It's pretty much just like my preamp, my digital analog converter, my microphone, and my software.
Yeah.
And
What kind
that's
of
pretty much
microphone do you
it.
use?
It's a Bluebird. The
Okay.
maybe I can put it in here. It's like that that blue one. I like, a lot of people have it.
And
It's
is that a USB mic or
no,
no?
it's
Okay.
XLR into my box over here, digital to analog or analog to digital converter.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then just into my software. And I started with cheaper equipment at first, and I don't recommend that for long, because it got me by and it helped me learn. I mean, I started with as little as like phone headphones with the little speaker on it and Audacity. And that's how I started recording, was like that, just to learn. And then I upgraded to like a $200 setup. And like that was cool, but it just didn't get the sound that I wanted. And then after a while, I just saved up, and like my little box here that pretty much does all the magic was like $900, you know, and like
Yeah.
my cable is like $100, and headphones are like 90. Like it costs some money, but I mean, it pays you back if that's something that someone is interested in, and making money from your home studio, or even, you know, recording your originals, not even session singing. It's so helpful.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, it definitely sounds like you've gotten the return on that
Yeah,
investment. Um, so speaking of, creating income, that obviously is another hot topic. Um,
yeah,
those of us that solely rely on performing and,
yeah.
earning our money as singers that way, this is really, really, really tricky time. And so I think,
Oh,
a lot of us are kind of scrambling and trying to pivot and redirect our careers. And I mean, I have been in the same boat. Fortunately, I had been vocal coaching for quite a long time. So I at least, able to pivot and kind of pour more time
yeah.
into that. But with you having so much success doing this all along, what are some of the various channels that you would recommend someone look into, to
Yeah.
create an income?
Well, I'll get to session singing in a second, but I'd say first and foremost that I feel like everybody should have a Patreon.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I had been hearing about Patreon forever. And then even on Patreon itself, it says, don't start a Patreon unless you have a fan base. Like they didn't really recommend it for nobodies, but I was a freaking nobody, and I still kind of am. Like people, I don't have that many fans and followers. And I just started one because any little bit helps. And oh my gosh, did it totally help. Like
Really?
someone once told me that you don't need a million fans and followers. You just, to be successful, you just need a handful of people who really care a lot about what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I started one and I make about, I don't know if I should say, I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter. I make, it's a sliding scale depending on how many videos I release, because that's how I set it up, but it's an extra $500 a month, you know,
Wow.
from
That's
something that I would naturally be doing anyway. I love creating cover music videos and travel videos and putting spins on things. And so I would say definitely Patreon, no matter where you're at with your fan base, because at least it's there. So if you do blow up, then you have it there. I was also
yeah.
told that you should just always create the pathways for the money to come to you, even if you don't feel like it's going to come to you. Just create it, and you never know. The
That's so
universe will
smart.
conspire. So definitely Patreon. For the live gigging people, I've seen people have so much success on like Facebook Live and stuff like that. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you've tried that route, but there's whole courses on it now about doing, you know, the live tip jar kind of deal. Going live freaks me out. I don't know why. Because like when you're in person, it's one thing, you can feel the energy, but just like hitting that live button on Facebook, knowing like the whole world is seeing you and you're by yourself and you don't have that energy. I don't know. So I haven't done it yet, but listen to what I say, not what I do. But yeah, I hear it's really lucrative. So that for sure. And then if people are into it, yeah, session singing. I think it's so fun. I've learned so much about my voice because I get hired to do all kinds of random things. Like even in the video or the movie that I got hired for, the songs were like, because it was an older pop star that I was portraying. So he had me just like push a lot with my vocals and create this sound that I wouldn't normally use. But when I heard it live through the movie, I was like, that sounds so good. And it's just cool just learning my voice in that way and taking it to new heights and singing every day. With singing every day just keeps your voice, you know, just in the zone. And especially now with no live gigs going on, if you go too long without singing, then you know it gets kind of dusty in there. So
Yes. Yes.
session singing at least keeps it alive. So definitely session singing I'd recommend to anyone. You can get on any of those sites. I'm on air gigs. For me is the most lucrative, airgigs.com, but there's also Sound Better, Vocalizer, all those kinds of things. And then just regular old, you know, putting up your stuff on Facebook and reaching out to people in the industry and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Patreon, session singing, going live. I'm trying to think what other,
That's
YouTube.
amazing that, there are actually platforms out there
Yeah,
that you can get work from, that
yeah,
kind of session work. I mean,
yeah,
traditionally to get into session singing, you've got to have relationships, you've got to know people, that
yeah,
people have to, know how you are in the studio and trust you, and it's kind of it's you've really got to get your foot in the door on that one, and really establish yourself. But as times change, more and more opportunities come up, and I just think that is so cool that it kind of levels the playing field a little bit, where
yeah,
you can put yourself out there, and that's I mean, you're living
yeah.
proof that you really can create a lot of success by doing it that
Yeah,
way.
I'd say as long as you set up your profile correctly, and I made a video on it. There's a certain bit of sales and marketing when it comes to setting up your profile. Like my title says, high belting range, rich tone. So people automatically know what they're going to get from me. Whereas, you know, if you're scrolling through the listing, sometimes you'll see their title is just session singer for hire. And it's like, well, we're here for session singers. We know that that's what
Yeah.
we get. So they'd have to click in to then hear them, to then figure it out. See, they may not go that far. So
Mm.
just little things like that. So I put tips together on my YouTube channel to help people fill out the profile and get contacted. But yeah, I don't do much marketing on there at all. You can put an ad on your profile and get to the top of the listings, and I've heard that helps.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't do much marketing on there, and they just appear. Like I'll just be working and I'll get an email, your gig is booked, your gig is booked. Like it was to the point where I had to raise my prices because a lot were coming in with the pandemic. A
Wow.
lot of people are home, so they're like, okay, well, I guess I'll get some of my songs done. So it's
Mhm.
actually gotten better as the live gigs have gotten worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, now's the time if people want
Is
to hop on
would
there.
that be a typical gig where it's like a songwriter who wants their stuff demoed?
Yeah, it's usually songwriters who are hiring a vocalist to get their songs out there. I very rarely get demo pitching. Like my song today that I was working on, with someone who was pitching to a Kelly Clarkson type deal. Well, he said he's pitching directly to her, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll put in there people that I sound like, and so people will hire me to do sound alike stuff to try to pitch to bigger name artists.
Oh, yeah.
But that's more rare. The majority of it is people trying to get finished products to put out in the world, either on their own album or or for movie trailers or just all kinds of interesting things.
Yeah. How cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's so smart the way you have set it up, which doesn't surprise me knowing you because my very first experience with you, like I said before, was meeting you and your husband and you guys setting up my website. And you both were, not only were you so nice to work with and just so, your customer service was like amazing. And that's really what sold me. I mean, your husband spent so much time on the phone with me before I had even hired you guys to do the work, and I just thought that's incredible. But
Yeah.
you're so savvy with how to market yourself, and
Yeah.
um, and I think it just speaks so much to singers that are trying to get into this business, or younger up and comers, that the singing part is real important. Yes, you do need to do a lot of work, you know, on your craft, and taking really great care of your voice, and strengthening and broadening your, abilities there. But there's so much more to it. It's the soft skills,
Yeah.
knowing how to be with people, how to build relationships with people, how to market yourself, how to handle your money, how to it's so many things. And that's always my hope, and also my advice to singers, is to really make sure that you're paying attention to those aspects,
Yes.
because it's going to mean a lot. And I'm sure that's played into a lot of your success too. I mean, you're
Oh,
a
yeah.
killer vocalist. That's obvious. you know
Thank you.
Obviously a huge part of the success, but you really are a savvy business person.
Yeah, I really attribute that to the web business, and Shane, my husband, he is just so on it with all that stuff, and creatives tend to be maybe not so on it with that. So just working in our web business together for 9 years really taught me so much about running a business that I carried over to my music business, and it's so important to treat it like that. I'm at my desk from 9 to 5 every single day, and I make sure to always respond to my emails.
Mm.
The That's like one of the first things I do, even if I can't get back to them that day, if I can't listen to their track that day or whatever, just, hey, just letting you know I got this. I'm going to check it out tomorrow, at this time or whatever. And just keeping up with people, because right now my delivery times are about 2 weeks out. And so I don't just leave them hanging that whole 2 weeks. I throughout them, just letting you know we're still on track. I hope you're having a good week, and it's still going to be submitted this day. And people just really enjoy that. And a lot of my reviews are like that. It's like, okay, beyond the vocals, she is great to work with, and yada yada. And I just know how it feels when I'm working with the business. I want to be responded to. I want them to answer their phone if they call. I want all that stuff. Everybody does. So it's just going that extra mile. And then when you're getting the gigs too, when someone reaches out to you, I try to respond instantly. Even like I was getting on a plane one time about to lose signal. I saw one thing came in, and I was like, hey, just letting you know I got this, but I'm going to respond in like 5 hours. And that saved that gig for me, because otherwise they could have found someone else in 5 hours. So it's just being on top of it.
Yeah. I teach a class that focuses a lot on the soft skills of, business, and
Oh,
things like that. And
nice.
one of my biggest points in it is I ask them, do you know what the secret is to getting gigs? And the answer to that is answer the call.
Oh my gosh.
Answer
Yes.
the
It's so
call
simple.
right away.
Yeah.
When
Right
people
away.
contact you, there's a sense of urgency when it comes to people doing their creative projects or needing a singer for someone or something. And there's so many moving parts in these projects and stuff. They don't have time to sit around and wait for for you've got to get yourself in the stack as soon as you
Yeah.
can. And if you can be the first person to answer a call, then I think 9 times out of 10 the job is yours.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Early bird and all.
Yes. So we have a lot of people joining us on Facebook.
Oh,
We've
awesome.
got Cherry Hill and Doug Booth is out there, Lauren Zolden, my husband, he's watching,
Oh,
and
awesome.
Jessica Fielder. And she is asking if you can tell us those session singer apps again.
Yeah, so airgigs.com is my absolute favorite for a lot of different reasons when it comes to getting paid. Let me just real quick, a really cool feature on there. When you submit your song to get paid, a timer starts, a 3-day timer, and if the buyer doesn't respond within that amount of time, it closes and you get paid.
Oh,
Whereas on Sound Better, no hate against them. I did a Sound Better gig today, but they could like take 2 weeks to respond if they wanted, and you're just kind of waiting to get paid.
okay.
On the air gig side, they can respond and pause that timer and then, all that jazz. But I just love the way airgigs is set up as a business. So definitely airgigs.com. And then soundbetter.com is another one. And vocalizer, but it's spelled funny. It's like VOCALIZR or something. Um, but you can type in session singing on in Google, and all the sites come up. There's so many of them, but I'm just on those three pretty much, and I get the majority of my work through air gigs. And then another little trick is I follow different composers on Facebook, and I'll just see what work they have coming out, and I'll friend them, and I won't pitch anything. I'll just be on their radar, and I'm always posting my singing videos and whatnot, so chances of it coming in up in their feed is probably pretty good. And I've gotten work that way. People have been like, oh, I saw your video. I just make sure to friend people that are in the industry, comment on their work, follow what they're doing, just see what's out there. And the more you get yourself out there, the ball just starts rolling, and you don't have to do much of anything. It just comes to you. So
Yeah, you are
yeah.
so smart. That's such great advice. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah,
so
you can even type the word in, looking for a singer or a singer for hire or vocalist needed in Facebook in the search bar. There's so many people looking for vocalists. And then I have a bunch of Facebook groups I'm in where it's just constant. Like I'm always tagging my friends in it because there's literally like there's too much work. If you
yeah.
want it, it's out there. People watching can hit me up and I can direct them to the different groups that I'm in. I have a list of it because I get asked that a lot. And yeah, and you can just
Yeah.
get
That's so
yourself in
cool.
there. Yeah.
I mean, that's another point that I make in this class also is that um, as singers, you cannot sit back and wait for work to come to you. You have to go out there and hustle for it. And you've got to put your neck out there and be willing to, hear some no's and everything.
Yeah.
But um, the more rocks you turn over, the higher chances that you're going to start hearing some yeses. And then once you have established a few relationships, people get to know you, they start
Yeah.
trusting you with their work, and when they know that you care about their work, they're going to hire you again and again. But you've really got to make it known you are looking for the work, you're eager for the work, and that you're going to do a great job. And when people see that from you, that you are um, eager and willing to work hard on it, that means so much, and it really
Yeah.
it really leaves an impression with people. So
Yeah. Whenever I hear from singer friends, if they're not able to get the amount of work that they want, my question is always, how much time are you spending on looking for that work? Because if I don't, I mean, I'm at a point now where it's all just working out. But in the
mhm.
beginning, if I wasn't working on something, which was all the time, I was looking for work, literally at my desk, 9 o'clock to 5. I did not move my butt until that, timer went off. And then I can move on to other parts of my life. But if you treat it like a business, it will become your business. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's really wonderful. Tell me more about Patreon and how you have that structured. My understanding of it is, as a musician, you create your account, and it's almost like a kind of a membership, I guess. The people who love your work will pledge a certain amount for something in return from you, like
Mhm.
a cover song or something. But how do you have yours?
Yeah, so you can set it up however you want. Some people are kind of worried about how much time it's going to take to give those rewards, but you can make them very simple, and you can even not even give a ton of rewards. Like you can just have one tier and have it say, maybe I'll release my songs in here before anybody else can see them or something, like a week early. Like you can make it so simple and just have them, pledge that amount. Mine's a little more complicated maybe, but like I send handwritten letters. I'll send like mystery gifts depending on the tier. I have tiers starting at $2 all the way up to 100. And the only reason I put the 100 in there was Shane, my husband. He's like, put it in there. I was like, who's gonna pay $100? Or even like a $50 tier. He's like, you can't hit if you don't swing.
Yeah.
And so I did. I put it in there and I got $100 patron and a $50 one. And you just never know. You
created the
never
path.
know.
You created the
Yes,
path
I
for it, like you
created the
said.
path, and if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And so I only have 30 patrons, but it is helping big time. So mine is based on creation. You can set it up where they pay you every month, no matter what. You could release nothing and you still get paid. I did it per creation because I don't know, I just felt like I would feel bad if I didn't post anything and I still got paid. And then also because it's per creation, I have chances to increase my income. So per month, that's it. That's all you get. But for me, people can choose to pay me, once a month, twice a month, 3, 4 times a month on that pledge. And so I can make anywhere from 380 up to 500, depending on how many times I post. 4 maxes it out. But yeah, it's every month and you can set it up however you want. You don't have to have that many bands to start. Even 5 people signing up at $5 a month is better than nothing.
Definitely. I've
Yeah.
seen some really creative ideas that have come from the
Yeah.
site. I mean, I've seen a musician do a where they will take requests from their patrons, and that's at a certain level,
Yes.
you'll custom record a song of their
Yes.
choice,
I
things
have one
like
of those.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Custom requests is one of them. The basic tiers, I just release music videos is what they're paying for. So I make sure it's Music Motivation Mondays, and sometimes I miss the Mondays, but every Monday I release a motivational music video, always a cover because I can't create originals that quickly. And then I also have a private Facebook group. So like right now I'm recording my album, so I go live when I'm in the studio so my patrons can be there with me and hear the process. And you just create little behind the scenes things that only your patrons can access, and it makes them feel special and a part of the process, and is a nice reward that's easy for
Yeah.
an artist to give.
Yeah, that's very cool. I've
Yeah.
one of the other things that I've seen that I think is nice is it's a promise to call them on their birthday, like do a
I love
custom
that.
shout out, or someone can request, you can request to have them call a friend, or someone that they know is one of
Yeah,
your
I should do
followers. And
that. I really
yeah,
like that.
that
Yeah,
is.
because I had to switch mine up because when I was traveling, one of the rewards was I would send them something from wherever I was visiting
Yeah.
for certain tiers. But yeah, I need some more stationary things. I like that idea. I might do that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody should just look at your website in general just to see how, um, what a great setup it is. And you have great, great blog posts
Oh,
on a lot of
thanks.
things, but for singers specifically that
Yeah.
are really looking for encouragement and really tangible um, things to do, to really get traction. So I
Yeah.
highly, highly recommend that everybody go and check out your site, to get
Thank
your
you.
tips on all of
Yeah,
this.
I've been trying to get in the habit when friends ask me questions about things, I just turn it into a blog post while I answer them so that other people can benefit from it. And then you put affiliate links in that blog post and you can get an income source through that as well if
Hmm.
people want to do that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You said a minute ago about going live and that it freaks you out.
Mhm.
It really freaks me out too. Um,
Really?
and so, like, setting up this whole interview thing was like, I'm pretty surprised I'm doing it, but I'm glad
I'm
that I
glad
did
you
because
are. Yeah.
I'm
This
having
is
a lot
very
of fun.
helpful.
I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I haven't done a streaming concert or,
Mm.
even just a song because it just man, it's a different kind of pressure. I don't know what it
I
is
know.
that feels so different about it. Maybe it's something going wrong, or I don't know, but
I think it's the energy thing because they say like it's tougher to perform in front of a smaller crowd than it is a big crowd.
yeah.
And yeah, I agree with that. And that's what this feels like. It's a small, big crowd because you're just here by yourself, but then everybody's
Yeah.
out there. Well, I don't know. It's just all weird.
Yeah. Or you kind of never know who might be out in that audience, and you know, um, maybe if I just don't look at the comments or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
That's true.
I think you obviously have overcome fears like that because you make a lot of bold moves in your career, like creating these videos on your own and your own recordings and putting them out there. Have you had fears around this stuff? And, if so, how have you pushed yourself beyond the fear?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, all the time. Even just this recent, because I haven't been in someone else's studio in 6 years. Was the last time I went and recorded original music with someone. I'm just in my own studio by myself. And so when I was headed to the studio last week, even that was so nerve-wracking. But you just gotta do it. Everything that is scary in life is usually the most rewarding. So I try to make it a habit to scare myself as much as possible and just say yes to all the scary things, except for going live. I haven't done. I need to just do it because I know on the other side of that is everything, and it's such a good way to connect with people. And that's kind of where the industry is headed right now for artists who are stuck at home. So many are going live and doing the live singing thing, and people love it. And yeah, so I would say that's my next fear that I'll conquer. But just doing scary things as much as possible is what's helped me get over all of the other fears. Like Patreon, for example, I felt kind of silly putting it out there because I didn't really have a lot of fans. But now look, it's doing some really cool things. So you gotta feel silly and just put yourself out there. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least you can go to your grave knowing you tried every single thing. And worst case, it doesn't work. Best case, everything happens and comes true. So might as well
Yeah.
try.
Well, okay. Well, then, everybody, you heard it here first. I'm laying down the challenge for
Oh
Audrey
my
Callahan to do her first live performance.
God.
And if you do it, I'll do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
got the
I
challenge
did it
set.
once before a long time ago when I had physical copies of my album that came out, and so I sang through some of them. And once I was doing it, it felt so good, and I didn't want to ever get off. But now that it's been, God, I don't know, years since I did that,
Yeah.
it's scary all over again. But
Yeah.
okay, challenge
Okay.
accepted.
Great. I'll be watching for it.
Okay.
Um, you're so right though about like overcoming the fears, and I think even just doing this and other projects that I'm working on too, I feel like I have always I've been with my band for so long, and when you're in a band, you have the comfort of everyone else being with you, and you just have that built-in support system. And so you know that if you do fail, you kind of have a safe place to fall with everyone else being
Yeah.
there. And I have found, though, when you venture out on your own, it is so much scarier, and I feel that fear on a totally different level. But the more encouragement that I hear, um, the more bold I get with the things that I do. And that encouraging advice is usually in this business and many others. There is only one you, and no
Yeah.
one no one has exactly what you do, exactly the way you put it out there, and the world needs to hear it. There are people out there who it will mean a lot to them. It may not be a ton of people, or it might,
Yeah.
but if you're not gonna do it, then what are you doing it for? I know some of
Exactly.
us sing for our own self gratification, I guess,
Yeah.
but you have your gift for a reason, and
Yeah.
try not to compare yourself too much. That's just let people have their journey, and you do your own, but just always remember that nobody's going to do it the way you do it, and you have so much value to offer everybody, so you got to put it out there.
Exactly. There's so many people in this world. There's enough room for all of us to be
Yes.
successful in our own little lanes with our own little tribe of people who we all just get each other. And yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, yeah. um where where do you come from? How did you get started? How did you, like, what is your music education background, and just your, where does your business acumen come from?
I like how you started that. Where did you come from?
Where,
Um,
what are you?
well, this is a story all about how. Well, it all started super young. Like ever since I was 2 years old, there's videos of me singing and dancing with karaoke machines, and my mom would interview me at that age. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I would always just say rock star. And it's largely because of my dad. He is the rock star. And so he always had a dedicated music room in our house growing up that I was always in. So I was always around music, and the rest of my family is very musical too. And I just never pursued it as a career because I didn't think it was viable. I tried when I was super young, but by the time I got to like 22, I'm like, oh, well, I'm aging out of the industry now. So
Right.
time to get a real job. And so I started pursuing my plan B, which was web design. And so I was in school for web design, started a web company, ended up having employees. Office Space was like in that world. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm a web developer who sings on the side. But it never felt right, and it was just always just tugging at my heartstrings. And I finally, the light bulb went off when I looked at how long we'd been doing web development for ourselves and weren't working for corporate America, and we were making it work. And so if I could make this successful web business work and fund all my bills and goals, why can't I do that with music? And so we made that switch, and it was actually my husband who put the final nail in the coffin, because I started getting the session work, doing these things and getting money to kind of free me up from web work, but I was scared to let go of the web world, and he
Yeah.
really wanted me to quit. And he's like, I'm just going to sell the business so you can't work in it anymore. I'm like, you can't do that.
Nice.
Like, and he's like, if I can sell it for X amount, will you not get another web job? And I was like, you can't sell it for that amount. Well, sure. And
Yeah.
he did, like, like, I don't know, a month later. And so he kind of put the nail in the coffin. So I was freed at that point. And it's been 2.5 years since we sold it. And
Mhm.
I just kind of, just leapt and grew wings as I fell down. But I had already been doing the session work and building things up. And it takes some time. I know a lot of people can get discouraged, but I mean, I would say from the moment I started trying to make music my full-time income to when it actually happened was like 14, 15, 18, I don't know, maybe like 4 years, 4 or 5 years. And that's with a huge background in marketing, because I did web design for so long. So I could make my own websites, do my own marketing, do my own graphics. So it takes a long time. So I feel like people shouldn't get discouraged. So that, yeah, to answer your question, that's where I started, was musical family, got the marketing chops under my belt, and then that gave me the confidence to leap into music.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. And that, that kind of speaks again to that point I made earlier about how there's so many other aspects to this. And if you need to have a, regular day job, while you're also building your singing career, there is no shame in that at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty smart, because of all of the other things you're going to carry over from your, other work,
Mhm.
into your singing work. And I worked in the corporate world for a long, long time, and it supported my singing career. It
Yeah.
afforded me the ability, to do a lot of the work and lay the groundwork for, becoming full time with it. And like you said, at the same time, I was building up all of these business skills, in so many
Mhm.
different areas. And as soon as I made the leap, to full time, singing, I had all of these tools
Yeah.
to work with to build it like a business and treat it like a business. And
Right.
it paid like a business,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone told me once to consider your day job your investor. So instead of,
Ah,
oh, I'm going to Starbucks to work today, it's like, no, I'm going to work at my investor's place.
yeah. Yep.
And then, just save up your money and make plans and goals, and you can just make it happen eventually.
Yeah, most definitely. Um, you mentioned that you're working on a new album.
Yeah.
What is that about?
So I went to go work on a new EP, but then I decided to split it up. So it's 5 songs, but 2 of them are Christmas songs.
Hmm.
So I'm going to split those off and put those maybe on a Christmas EP with some covers. So 2
Oh,
original Christmas songs and a few covers. And then the other songs I'll probably release as singles. I feel like, I don't know, in this day and age, attention spans and all. And I really like focusing on one song at a time, making a video for it, a campaign, and doing that, all that jazz. So
yep.
I'll release those over time with videos and whatnot. But yeah, so I started last week in the studio.
Yay.
Feels very good to be back.
That's so exciting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it is. We're living in a different, it's a different industry now in the way that it works. I think if you can put a full album together, that's great. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
huge accomplishment, and people are still buying music that way for sure. But I wouldn't want any singers out there to hold themselves back if they don't have the funding to go out and do a full album.
Yeah.
Even if you can pull the resources together to get a single out, because
Hmm.
that's how it works now. You get a great
Hmm.
single under your belt and then promote it, campaign it, and then maybe you take the proceeds from that and roll it into your next project. But
Yeah, definitely. And a new thing that I'm trying to get into is the whole sync world. I'm in a course right now that teaches you
oh
how to
yeah.
land your songs in movie and TV and all that. And so that's what gets me excited about the Christmas songs too, because apparently it's a majorly under-tapped market, that there's just not enough indie Christmas songs in the world. And if you take Hallmark, for example, and all their Christmas movies every year, it costs a lot of money to put Mariah Carey's song in there. So they're always looking for indie artists who have Christmas songs out there. And apparently, it's not easy, but it's not the hardest thing to get some of your
Yeah.
songs synced if you just take the right steps. So that's my next goal, is to be able to do things like that, because I'm very interested in creating a more passive income situation, because I'm seeing right now, with session singing, I can only make as much as I can sing, and I'm singing every day, all day long, and I just want a little more of a break, and just create some more time for myself. And so that seems like a good avenue to take.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, my mom's life would be complete if I got a song on a Hallmark movie.
Oh my gosh, do
Would-
it! I will help you. And once I figure it all out, I'll tell you the ways.
Yeah, that's a great avenue to go down. And um, I don't know much about it. I'm learning myself, but I have a bandmate who is, writes a ton, and he's getting large checks, regularly from
Yes.
stuff he wrote years and years ago. And, you know, one day it gets picked up and, um, it gets synced to a TV show or something like
Yeah,
that. And it just starts paying. And it's really, really wild.
it's amazing.
The
Yeah,
way
a
that
very
works.
close friend of mine, she told me about a couple of sync placements that she got, and not including the royalties, just the upfront fee. She got $25,000 on one song and
Yeah.
15,000 on another. And those are like on the lower side, the kind of numbers that come up in that world. So
That's so
it's a really
cool.
good way to get more bang from your buck out of your songs, and get your music out there more, and get more fans, people watching the show who like the song and then go look you up,
Hmm.
and all that. So yeah.
How would somebody learn more about that? What would you recommend they do?
Um, I would say take one of the courses that I'm in, and I can get you the links. Maybe we can put it in the comment
Definitely.
section.
We'll
But
do it.
Michael Elsner is one of them, and Chris SD, of Sync Songwriter, is
Hmm.
another one, and he runs it. It's like a year-long program. So the one of the ones I'm in is year-long. The other one is self-paced. I just bought them both because they were doing a deal. Um, and oh my gosh, they just teach you everything step by step, from crafting the email to how to pitch to like how to set up your songs with the metadata and like the proper text to put in there, and like this Excel spreadsheet of doom is what they call it, for how what they're looking for, and how to find the music supervisors, how to find the Hallmark films that are in production, and then go directly to the person placing the songs, and just all that stuff, and how to find artists that sound like you, and then what songs have been placed of theirs in what TV shows, find that producer, that music supervisor, because clearly they sync your kind of music, and it's just this whole thing. It's quite a bit of work, but it's so worth it. At
Yeah,
least, yeah,
yeah.
it's the goal.
Um, what's your writing process like? Do you go through seasons of writing a lot, or just you are you really disciplined about doing it all the time? How does that work for you?
Definitely seasons. I never sit down to write a song. They just appear in my head. They're just there one day, like the whole thing. It's
Hmm.
usually when I'm going through something, whether it be happy or sad, or when I'm in car rides. I never listen to the radio, which is really odd. As a musician, you think I would, but I don't. And that's usually when a lot of songs come to me as I'm driving.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, they just appear. I put them as voice notes in my phone. I don't play an instrument. So I just sing it in a voice note, and then I develop the lyrics more, and I just throw it in a folder on my desktop. And I just keep them there until the right time, until I have the funds to go to the studio, or maybe collab with someone. Or I've never collabed with a producer before. I've always paid for studio time, but I imagine that world exists where
Hmm.
I could do that. So yeah, I just keep them on my desktop until the right time for them to be birthed appears.
Yeah. How do you get your arrangements together? Do you have someone that you partner with a lot on that stuff, or?
No, I just this time around I started working with some co-writers.
Okay.
Before it was always just I don't know, I just did it on my own. And then my producer is really good with that kind of stuff. When Thomas Barceau of the OC Hit Factory, and his title is so accurate, Hit Factory. Like I'll go in there with my song, and just little things that he does, a chord progression that I'll sing to him. He's like, this should go like this for this reason. And you're missing a pre-chorus. Like let's work in a pre-chorus here. And like as he's playing the chords, I'll be writing up lyrics. And so it's a very hands-on, involved, helpful process. I love that I don't just go there and sing a song, they record it, and I leave. Like it's
Yeah.
very involved, which is
Yeah.
really nice. So
They give you
yeah.
the guidance on it. I love. Do you like this the show Songland?
I saw it. I do love it. I haven't watched it in forever. I
Gosh,
don't even know what station it's on at this point.
my husband and I are obsessed with that show. It's the miracle of having the bones of a song walk through the door, and then have this panel of wildly gifted magic making
Yes.
songwriters take it and
Yes.
craft it into these incredible things, and just to see them in real time coming up with these ideas, and just
Yes.
feeding off of each other doing it. It's just amazing. I love watching their
Yeah, I
process
need to watch it
so
again.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how my producer is. Like bridges are kind of difficult for me sometimes, and so we get to that part in the song, and he'll just start singing a bridge, and he's like, "Do you like that one?" I'm like, "Maybe," and then he sings another one, and he just has so many ideas that just pop out. It's
Yeah.
nice to be able to work with someone else in that way.
Yeah.
Someone once told me too that 100% of a flop isn't as good as taking a smaller percent of a hit. So that's
Hmm.
what's made me more open to working with co-writers and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you are a good lyricist and, working on melodies, don't be afraid to, hook up with somebody who has the other set of skills that you need
Yeah.
to put legs to a song. I mean, I know it's
Yes.
really hard and so, so vulnerable to share your work with someone or show them what you're
Yes.
doing. It's hard, but
And then have them change something that's been in your head for like a year. And so you have to part with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it really is a really magical experience though when you're working
Hmm.
with somebody and
And in person
yeah.
too, which is funny because I make my living doing the digital creation for other people. But for me, I love the in-person production process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just feels very organic.
Very, very much so.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. You
Yeah.
are just, I'm so glad you came on. I think you are a wealth of knowledge and you're really a great success story. And I know that you're going to inspire a ton of people out there. And I just, I'll put all the links in the comments to your movie and to your socials so people can see where they can find you, and the other
Awesome.
links that we also mentioned throughout the show. But
Yes.
I am definitely a huge fan. And
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you for
yeah,
thinking of me. It's so nice to come full circle like this.
totally. It really,
Yeah.
really is. I am wishing you the best, and I hope we'll do this again really, really soon.
Yes. And we'll have to meet up in person when all this craziness is over. Because then we're so
Definitely.
close.
I would love that. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, you have a great night, and good night to
You
everybody else
too.
on Facebook. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.